Fox 5 Health News, some pretty startling numbers. 9 out of 10 strokes could be prevented. Researchers say the biggest risk factor to get under control is high blood pressure.
Joining us now is Fox 5 medical contributor Dr. Devi Parampal. So good to have you here with us today.
Good to see you too.
Okay, so as we were just discussing, there are 10 factors. Can we run through those really quickly?
Now, most of them are related, actually. So high blood pressure is the biggest one, accounting for about 50% of strokes. But there are others. So physical activity is part of it. Now, if you do more physical activity, of course, you lower your blood pressure, right?
Oh, right.
So that's another one. About a third of strokes are related to not having enough exercise or movement. Plus diet, so that's about a fifth of strokes. And now, all of these can be related again, right?
Yeah, they are.
Diet and exercise
if you have
go
one
together.
of these risk factors, you probably have a few, right?
Now, the other ones are also related to diet or to the others. So smoking, for example, which can also increase your risk of high blood pressure. Alcohol as well, which can increase your risk of high blood pressure.
Smoking.
Right.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Diabetes.
Then, yeah, so some of them are actual medical conditions where you might need to see the doctor. So things like that, like diabetes or, you know, irregular rhythms of your heart. So there are a few conditions where you might need medications or other treatment, need to co-manage it with your physician. But for the most part, the biggest ones, the ones that we mentioned, where it's diet, exercise, and high blood pressure, I mean, we have a lot of control over those things. So I think for the most part, people are very ambitious with physical activity, and they think, okay, well, if I can stick to a workout program or do whatever's
You don't have to
recommended.
train for the Ironman. If you just get busier, you can have a lot of great things happen to you.
Exactly. Even if you park further in the parking lot and you do that every single day, if you use the stairs, if you try to use maybe a standing desk instead of sitting desk, all these things can help decrease your risk.
Good habits tend to be contagious, it seems. You know,
This is
one
so
good thing
true.
leads to another.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
All right, so that's the good news. 90% of these could be prevented. That's good news.
Exactly.
You do something.
Exactly.
All right, something else here. There's some clues to early stages of heart disease, and you could look to your legs.
Yeah, so
tell.
this is an interesting study. So these folks were looking, you know, so the way to think about it is that your arteries are the pipes that carry blood and oxygen to all the organs, so whether it's the brain or otherwise. Now, we use a test called ultrasound or sonography to look at the blood vessels to see how well they're working. It's really a good test for anything that involves fluid. So, for example, if pregnant women want to get the baby checked, they go in for sonograms because you can see the amniotic fluid and you can see different structures.
Right.
Now, this is actually looking more at the pipes to the different organs. So with any pipe, like think of your kitchen sink, your toilet, your bathtub, the more junk that you have in there, the more likely it's going to get clogged, right? So whether it's hair, you know, you're talking about food or whatever else. But the same thing happens in the body. If you have more cholesterol or, you know, the body's junk in those tubes, then they're more likely to get clogged. And then depending on where those blood vessels go, you have a problem. So if it's the blood vessels in the neck, you're more likely to have a stroke because they're carrying blood to the brain. If it's the blood vessels in the legs, they're more likely to perhaps lead to an amputation or something like that over time. Now, in this study, they looked and they saw that the blood vessels of the legs are more likely to get clogged earlier than the blood vessels to the brain. And they did this in about 300 people, and they found that the results were pretty consistent, even in people who were under 40. But it's difficult to know what to make of that. So if you have someone who's under 40 who thinks, well, I'm fine, you know, my cholesterol's not a problem, I don't have too bad high blood pressure, maybe this test would be useful to convince that person that, hey, you know, you may think that you're young and invincible, but you have some signs of wear and tear.
Keep an eye on.
Yeah, that you might have problems later. On the other hand, I don't know if it would be useful to help at predicting stroke, which is one of the things the researchers were looking at, because those blood vessels are actually going to a different part of the body, right?
Gotcha.
So,
Interesting.
so the neck would probably be better for that situation.
Right. It's another tool in our arsenal, though. All right, Dr. Devi, we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.